This show is produced by the Hartman Media Company. For more information and links to all our great podcasts, visit hartmanmedia.com.
Welcome to the American Monetary Association's podcast, where we explore how monetary policy impacts the real lives of real people and the action steps necessary to preserve wealth and enhance one's lifestyle.
Welcome to all of you people out there in election land, sitting on pins and needles, as this election is it is a close contest, isn't it? Adam, our fellow Democrat and team member, we got point counterpoint here today, maybe because we've got both sides of the political aisle represented. Adam, welcome. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty well. I didn't pay a ton of attention last night, so I'm doing well.
Well, that was a good discipline not to pay too much attention to the election last night because, heck, I had a feeling we wouldn't know anything. And you know what? I have a feeling we're not going to know anything for a few days or maybe even a couple of weeks if the Supreme Court gets involved. But we'll see what happens as the Democrats try to steal the election. I thought you'd appreciate that.
Yeah, I was talking with Naresh Monday, I think, and we were discussing the election, and he was saying, Naresh is another investment counsel for those who don't know, and he was saying he's not sure if he'll see another Republican win the popular vote for the rest of his life. And it's quite possible.
Well, I think if it does turn out that Biden wins and they give amnesty to, 12 to 15 million current illegals, or as Hillary Clinton says, workers without papers, you got to love that one, then that will lock in a Democrat vote pretty much for many, many years to come. I am hoping that does not happen because I think that would be extremely unfair. But hey, we have what we have. That's the world we live in. So let's dive into it today. Of course, income property is the ideal asset class because it provides income depreciation. And of course, we mean depreciation in a good way as a tax benefit. It's a wonderful thing. The best tax benefit of all is depreciation. And equity growth, that's obviously good. And appreciation, that's obviously good. And leverage, meaning you can do more with less. So let's go ahead and jump into our talk today as we're going to talk about bubbles and so forth. But of course, visit our website for privacy policy disclaimers and all that good stuff. Reach out to us, jasonhartman.com. Or if you're in the United States, you can always call us on the good old-fashioned telephone at 1-800-HARTMAN, but that's a U.S.-only number. All right. So Adam has prepared some good stuff for us. But before we get into investing content and talk about income property, the most historically proven asset class in the world, at the time of this recording, Biden is in the lead. Adam, what say you? I am really surprised to see Arizona go to Biden. That just kind of surprised me, actually. I didn't think that would happen.
I have to give it up. My tinfoil hat just made a comment on our presentation.
Bring
asking
in the comments, folks.
Did Kanye win? My tinfoil hat, thank you for making me laugh this morning. I appreciate it.
Kanye did not win. No, Kanye, I don't think is going to win, at least not this time around.
Give him 4 years. Who knows then? Yeah, I knew it wasn't going to be the landslide that, all the pollsters were predicting. I actually posted, I think the polling business might go out of business after this election because they've been shown to be pretty useless the last two elections.
Yeah, and pretty biased, I think. Polls actually, they create a self-fulfilling prophecy issue. And just want to remind everybody about self-fulfilling prophecy. One of my favorite quotes comes from the old sleepy California senator, S.I. Hayakawa, the late, I should say, but he was kind of this sleepy guy. But he wrote a book on self-fulfilling prophecy, which is pretty interesting. And he said something very telling. He said, the self-fulfilling prophecy is something that is neither true nor false, but it is capable of becoming true if it is believed. And that speaks to the idea of political polls because they do influence elections. If the pollsters say this or that, it'll keep people at home. They'll stay home. They won't bother to vote, or it will make people just give up and say, Biden won or whatever, right? And so the polls really do bias people, and I think they should be not allowed maybe for a week before an election or something like that. But the problem you had this time is you had all this mail-in ballots, and I'm sure there's just massive voter fraud. I'm not saying that in a partisan way. I'm just saying that's just a fact. What do you think about that, Adam? Do you think I'm being paranoid when I say that?
Yes, I do. I think they've shown that there's the number of instances of mail-in of ballot fraud in general is very low, like very, very low.
Okay, so let's just slice that up for a moment. Would you agree? I'm going to ask you a couple of questions on this as our fellow Democrat represent. Okay. So would you agree that most postal workers would be Democrats?
I would say you have a decent likelihood that the people at the desk and sorting your mail are Democrats. Yes.
What about the people picking up and delivering the mail, the carriers?
Probably.
Okay. So you agree that most postal workers are probably Democrats. Okay. Do those postal workers know which districts are likely to lean Republican or Democrat based on, their route? Do you think they know that?
One would assume that they have a general idea.
Yeah. So, general idea is if they're in an upper middle class area or a middle class area, or now with Trump, as a populist president, a working class sort of blue collar area, which Trump obviously appeals to that vote quite a bit. They know what area they're in, right? And the ballot is in the package. You can see it's a ballot. They don't have to open it to know what it is, right? So you agree with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the mail carrier, if they're in a largely Republican district, they could just see ballots and decide to lose them.
They could, except most states have a way to track your ballot.
Well, tell us about that.
I mean, you can literally, in a lot of states, go online and see if your ballot made it and if it's been counted. Or you can do a text alert.
Okay, so first of all, I didn't know that. I didn't vote by mail, so I didn't use that system.
Our president did.
Okay. Who did?
Trump. He votes by mail.
No, I thought Trump went to the polls. Melania did, I know.
Melania did. No,
I thought Trump went to the polls as well.
No, he votes absentee all the time. He may have gone this time, but the last election he mailed in his absentee ballot.
Interesting. Okay, so you can track whether your ballot was received or not. I did not know that.
I don't know if you can in every single state, but I know in a lot of states you can.
Okay, but someone has to do that. And, they have to take an active role and do that and see if the ballot got there and was counted. But
you could say the same things about voting machines, though. You're putting your vote in, and who knows what's happening when the bits and bytes start happening.
Fair enough, but that's a lot more complicated fraud to orchestrate. You got to be a tech person and be able to hack the system or run the system. And by the way, just so you know, listeners, I did a couple of episodes on that many years ago, maybe 10, 12 years ago, on the electronic voting machines and the possible fraud there on my holistic survival show. Maybe played those on the Creating Wealth show years ago. I can't remember, but look in the back catalog for my old shows and you can learn about that stuff. But yeah, what do you think? I think it's pretty easier at the postal carrier level and the postal sorter level for them to influence the election with these mail-in ballots. I just think it's really scary. I mean, there's more mail-in this time than ever before. Okay, yes, we always had absentee ballots and stuff. I get it. But this time it's a thing, right? With COVID, it's all changed. I
believe in the goodness of humans, Jason. I don't think they're doing that.
Oh my God. Are you kidding me?
I believe that most people are good.
Well, okay. So I don't know. Most people, some people, a lot of people. I don't know.
I don't think ballots are getting lost magically. I don't think people are getting bags full of ballots and throwing them out. You might find ballots thrown out, but they're going to be ballots of people who received them in the mail and decided not to vote by mail and got rid of it.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. Folks, what do you think? Comment below and tell us what you think. And also, please tell us where you're located when you're watching here. We'd love to hear from you.
Michael Gruner, one of my clients, said every precinct in Washington also has ballot boxes if someone doesn't feel comfortable mailing their ballot.
Yeah, I know, Michael. I was on his podcast a long, long time ago. So good guy. So I don't think I'm showing the right comment. He must have.
No, he commented again a little bit below that.
Okay.
So, I mean, in every area does have ballot drop boxes. Texas had lawsuits about that this time around because our governor tried to limit it to one per county. So that would mean that all of Houston, 5 million people, had one ballot drop-off location.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let me just.
That's worse.
Yeah, let me just jam through some of these comments here. Landslide, 60,000 votes. So.
That's Kanye. Kanye got a 60K.
Did he really?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. I don't know either. Okay. So
most of the voter fraud allegations and lawsuits that have actually happened that they've discovered have been Republicans, for the record.
I'm skeptical about that. Again, I haven't researched this issue a lot, but it just seems very logical that, that based on the questions I asked Adam a moment ago, that fraud is really, and this is not a big orchestrated fraud. It's just losing ballots. That's all it is. Just losing ballots. That's just really easy to do. Just super easy to do. Okay. So the gold color, you mean Chi-Com Charlie, Washington governor, brought up by the Chinese waiting for a Red Dawn event. I don't know what that means. Adam, if you do, please comment.
I'm not sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Ultimate bargains. If postal carriers decide to lose ballots, then that's a federal felony. Yeah, I agree. It's not worth the risk.
Good luck finding it. I mean, seriously, do you know the standard by which it is to prosecute somebody for that? It's insane. Okay. How are they going to know?
Most people aren't going to chance it, Jason. They're not going to chance it.
Kidding me? People commit crimes all day, every day. That's all the time. Okay, so hey, our Sunshine Girl, regular viewer from Australia.
So Sunshine Girl says media also lead you to believe things if they repeat them enough. Don't let them convince you as Americans that you're so divided that you must degenerate into fighting and civil war. Stick together.
I agree with
that. Good luck with that.
Yeah, good luck with that. Right, but I agree with it. That's good. Okay.
My tinfoil hat says, I find it odd that they're going to do digital money, but there's a question about voting. Blockchain.
Yeah, well, the blockchain would be the way to secure it in the future. And you're in Seattle. Okay, what's this one?
Sunshine Girl in the land of Oz is drinking coffee at bedtime so she can pretend she's in the States with us all.
Yeah. So a little caffeine. Hey, cheers to you. I'm drinking mine. Okay, and hey, you got a fan here, Adam.
There it is. Hey, Ivana says, go Adam, I voted by mail and double-checked on her ballot in Miami. So you could have done it, Jason. Could have voted by mail and checked your ballot. And Julian Flash says both sides can assume that mail-in votes were manipulated if they lose in this race.
Yeah, of course both sides will say that, but I think one is more susceptible to that fraud, and that's the Republicans.
And Gosling's Nest at Rionic Chalet J, New York says software can solve all the voting problems. A single app on your phone that is secure with validation you can use to vote. This is all BS. What century are we living in?
Well, I do agree with that. It's really amazing how primitive the system is. It really is. But I would like to see, much more voting. If it were more convenient and were done electronically, there could be a lot more voting. Like we could vote, during the debates. And we could vote for 30 people and weed them out in runoff elections. That's the way it should be done. They do that in some countries, much better system, but we'll see. Hey, Adam, let's talk about the potential of a bubble. There's just not enough to say on the election yet, is there?
Well, you'll have a whole lot more in the coming weeks, I feel.
Yeah, it's like the old saying, TETT, too early to tell. By the way, as many of you know, you regular listeners and viewers, we planned an election coverage this evening at 5:00 Pacific and 8:00 Eastern, and I might postpone that because I just don't think we're going to know anything. I think it's just going to be, I can't stand watching the mainstream news media when they're just sitting there speculating. It's just like.
Was it maybe CBS had a little map that they were pushing all the things to change the electoral college votes by state and going into each individual county. And I was like, man, I don't want to follow this. But I honestly didn't watch much election coverage last night. I didn't feel there was a point to it.
Yeah. So folks, just know that we might postpone this evening's event, and we might do it tomorrow. We might just push it back another day. Well, I don't know. It's just, I don't know yet. I don't know yet. Okay, a couple more comments here before we get to the bubble. Pick a bubble, find a pin. Yeah. Well, we're going to talk about that today.
Kim says, I am so worried about our country's economy. If Biden gets elected, more and more debt is coming.
Yeah. Well, I agree, and I share your concern, Kim. That's very valid. Okay, so let's talk about this in terms of a housing bubble. Everybody, as soon as the COVID thing really hit and that became a significant thing, people were talking about, hey, I can't wait. This bubble's going to pop. Now we're going to have a bubble. I'm going to get my chance again, the chance I didn't take during the Great Recession. And I'm ready. I'm going to pounce, and I'm going to make all kinds of money buying cheap houses that are distressed. And, I've said it before, but I just don't think that's going to be a significant thing this time around. We'll see, but let's talk about it today. Okay. We're going to share some statistics. Adam has prepared some good stuff. I've prepared some good stuff. Let's dive into it. So on my side, I've been giving a presentation that I have not shared with my broader audience about the possibility of a housing bubble. I have given this presentation 2 times to live audiences, and I am going to turn it into a webinar for you. And we'll announce that here soon. Might as well wait till we know who is going to control the executive branch, who's going to control the White House, because it might change my thinking a little bit. I don't know. We'll see. Okay, here's the guy with the golf cart and his obnoxious music going by. See, I got my window open. Oh, the weather in Florida is so beautiful right now, folks. It's just, it's perfection. It's perfection, absolute perfection. But back to the housing bubble. So, when you look at a 100-year history, right? And, people look at charts like this and they say, oh my gosh, we must be in a bubble. Look at what housing prices have done. Look at what they've done. And this is the Great Recession. And then it goes back down. Now, this is the housing price index, okay? That's an index concept. So that's different than housing prices. It is not exactly the same thing. So here's another index, right? So this is the most widely quoted, the Case-Shiller Index, which has all sorts of flaws and all kinds of problems. I've busted the myth with this, and I'll just quickly say that 75% of the Case-Shiller Index is based on cyclical markets. As you know, I talk about 3 types of markets: linear, cyclical, and hybrid markets. And cyclical markets are more volatile markets. They do not reflect the broader country as a whole. In the country, there are almost 400 MSAs, or metropolitan statistical areas. The Case-Shiller Index, the primary index, only profiles 20 cities, all right? And 15 of those 20 cities are cyclical markets that we would never recommend for investment. So you've just got to understand that the weighting of this whole index is misleading. And if you'd like more about that, it takes a long time to explain and discuss it. Check out my podcast, The Creating Wealth Show, where we've gone in depth on that topic and discussed it. But it is what it is. Okay. So this chart is the Case-Shiller Index, as faulty as it is, but it is what it is. So it compares the Consumer Price Index, which is also faulty, the CPI, which is a reflection of inflation. Okay, and we've talked about that in detail ad nauseum on the podcast. But if you look at the Consumer Price Index compared to the Case-Shiller Housing Price Index, you can see, here we are at that peak, the sort of 2006 era. And then we see it come down, we see it go back up again, and we see where it is now. So people look at this chart without thinking, without understanding, and they think, oh my gosh, we must be in a bubble again because there's this big departure between the Consumer Price Index and the Case-Shiller Housing Price Index. Well, I'm not sure about that, and you shouldn't be sure about it either. This is very, very misleading, and we're going to show you why today. And before we get into Adam's part of the presentation, I just want to tell you that your rich uncle, Jerome Powell, and my rich uncle and Adam's rich uncle, Jerome Powell, the chairman of the Federal Reserve, the largest, most influential, most powerful central bank on planet Earth, okay, that is backed by the U.S. government in an unholy alliance, whole different discussion we won't get into, Jerome Powell has given all of us a huge gift, and we better take advantage of it. And we're going to share with you why today. Again, we're going to do a webinar with a lot more detail on what we talk about today, but we're just going to give you a little sample of it today. So, Adam, how do you invest in a bubble? But the first question is, are we in a bubble? Well, maybe you don't want to answer that yet. It's your turn.
So this was put around whenever I was talking to somebody on the phone, and I kind of got the whole, well, of course you think real estate's going well because you're helping people buy real estate. And so it leads into the question of, do we actually think is now actually a good time to buy properties, or are you just putting money into assets that are way too expensive? So if you go to the next slide, the question you have to ask yourself is, are Jason and I just a bunch of Permabulls? And most of you probably know Permabulls is a permanent bull on the market. In the stock market, you can't be a Permabull. You can't be a Permabear. It'll get you on TV. It won't make you a ton of money in the long run.
I completely agree.
So the most important thing to remember if you're looking at this and coming at this is the fact, as you're looking at the housing bubble, commandment number 5, thou shalt not gamble. Be a prudent, long-term value investor, never a get-rich-quick gambler, speculator, or flipper by investing only in properties that make good financial sense the day you buy them. So when you're looking at, is this a housing bubble? The answer may be, yes, there is a national Case-Shiller housing bubble. But the question is my market in a housing bubble?
Right.
And that's going to be something that I want to talk about today.
Okay. And let me pose one much broader issue on top of everything that Adam said and I just said, is that the first question is, does it matter?
Yeah.
Okay. And here's what I mean by that. Most people view the whole real estate market as this one-dimensional asset class, and that is such bad thinking. Okay. It is just faulty thinking. And the reason is that it's not about buy low, sell high. It's not just about appreciation or depreciation. But that's the way most people view it. And that is absolutely silly. It's stupid. It should not be viewed that way. It's a multi-dimensional asset class. And as such, you've got, of course, price, appreciation, depreciation, the value of the property, but you've also got the income from the property, the tax benefits from the property, the opportunity cost related to what happens when you wait. Okay, if you're trying to time the market, it has been proven over and over again that in like any asset class, the market timers never win overall, whether it be stocks, bonds, real estate, even cryptocurrencies, all of this stuff, okay? Market timing is a fool's errand, okay? But, with income property, it's the best because you don't depend on the price, the value of the asset, because you've got that income that sustains you through rough times. And when market declines, and, there are different routes for market declines in the real estate world. Of course, one is that interest rates might be too high and housing affordability would be really low. Well, what happens when that happens? You have to ask yourself what happens. So when that happens, people don't buy as many houses. So they stay in the rental pool. I mean, you only really have 3 choices. You can buy, you can rent, or you can be homeless, okay? Someone at one of my conferences shouted out, no, you can live with your parents. Okay, fine. Yes, I guess that's a 4th option. But in the broad scheme of things, buy, rent, or be homeless, right? So when the market is, by most people's eyes, not doing well, meaning prices are depressed, and everybody thinks, well, it's not a good time to buy, or interest rates are too high, or it's too hard to qualify, or housing affordability is too low. Whatever reason is keeping them from buying, the end result of that is they're staying in the rental pool. And if they stay in the rental pool, that puts upward pressure on rental prices. Great. Good for you. Okay, landlords, sit tight, raise the rent. Okay, you won. You won. So good for you, right? So it's a multidimensional asset class. And all you have to do with the beauty of income property, the most historically proven asset class in the entire world, is just adjust your strategy as times change. That's it. Sometimes you're in a cash flow market. Sometimes you're in a capital appreciation market, but you're always in a cash flow market in terms of the cash flow. It hardly ever goes down. And that almost never happens. Okay. I mean, I don't want to say never because it does happen sometimes, but almost never you got a cash flow market. Sometimes you have an improving cash flow market though, but you always have a tax benefit market. You always have leverage. You always have all of those ideal, as the acronym, characteristics we put as the first slide in today's presentation. Okay. Yeah. So like Adam says, my commandment number 5, thou shalt not gamble. You want to be a prudent long-term investor, and you buy properties that make sense the day you buy them. Okay, Adam, what were you going to say?
I was going to say you need to remember that when you buy the asset, you have set a floor. And if you buy an asset that makes sense the day you buy it, then you're currently standing over the floor. So as you're able to raise your rent and raise, the appreciation and all of that, your floor is not changing. Your floor is there. And it just gives you a bigger and bigger drop that you can have before you reach that floor. And it's important to remember, even in bear markets, you can make money in the stock market. People make money in a down market. Yeah. You can make money in a down market in real estate as well. You can make money in a bull market. You can make money in a bull market in real estate. You can make money either way. It's like Jason was saying, you just have to adjust your strategy. So that is why you can be a permabull in real estate. You just have to adjust your bullish goals in some ways, or your strategies.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Let's grab a couple more questions and comments. Folks, feel free to post them. Tell us where you're watching from or listening from, and post any questions or comments. Adam, it's all you.
Julian Flash says politicians act like they are celebrities. News anchors act like they are politicians.
That's true, and it's wrong, but it's a good observation for sure.
Sunshine Girl, are any of you buying real estate? I am. Australia pledged more QE and cut interest rates to 0.1% yesterday. Gift. Yeah, but don't look that gift horse in the mouth.
Yeah.
My tinfoil hat says vans on sale down by the river.
Hey, by the way, I got to mention something about vans. And Adam, you're a millennial, so, I don't know if you're aware of this, but there's like a whole culture of millennials in this country living in vans, traveling around the country, living what they call van life. I mean, I only recently became aware of this. It's absolutely shocking. Many of them have, huge YouTube followings. They talk about how they fixed up their van, how they live in their van, where they go, how they do what's called boondocking, which means not camping at a campsite. So it's, free. They just camp on the street. So when you see vans on streets now, a lot of times there's people sleeping in them. And I don't mean like homeless people. I mean,
voluntarily
who are like digital marketers, usually YouTube influencer types, living in their vans. It's absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah. And there's even nowadays, as a homeschooling parent, I can say this, there are people who do what's called road schooling, and they take their family and they drive around and go to different states, different cities, different venues to show their kids kind of all about the United States and the history. And so they'll go to Philadelphia and, go see the Liberty Bell and study about that. And
well, they won't go to Philadelphia now because there's riots. And guess what? They better go and show their kids the country and the Liberty Bell and the statues before they all get taken down. They're almost all gone now, thanks to the tolerant, loving, compassionate, accepting Democrats.
All right.
Adam, who do you think the rioters are? I'm just curious as a Democrat. Who's rioting?
Actually, it's both sides.
Oh, God. You're out of your mind.
Okay. You're right. They have arrested people at quote unquote liberal rallies causing trouble who are right-wing extremists.
I don't deny that there's like 3 of them. Okay. I don't deny that there's a few, but by and large, the rioters are Democrats. Okay. There's just no question about that. I mean, do you agree that at least the majority of the rioters are Democrats?
Probably.
Okay. See, Adam's a reasonable guy, folks. That's why I like him so much. He's a little bit wrong, but he's reasonable.
All right. Okay, so the gold color says, Chi-Com, California, the list of sellouts of past and present of our rights, money, and everything else is almost gone thanks to Pelosi equals Plopsy, Newsom, Waters, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Plopsy, I don't know if that's a typo or if that was a derogatory comment. I'm not sure.
I think it's derogatory, but I don't know what it means. I think it's just kind of a funny Pelosi is Plopsy and Gavin Nuisance and so forth. Yeah, California's a disaster. I mean, I think even a Democrat would have to admit that, or at least a Democrat living outside of California. Adam, what do you say about California? Do you think it's a disaster?
It needs a lot of help, put it that way, at least.
How did it get so messed up, Adam?
I don't follow it enough. I have a feeling I know what you want me to say.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not trying to influence.
I genuinely don't know how California has spent their tax money as a state. I haven't followed it nearly enough to know how they've spent their money and how they've ended up where they are.
Hey, by the way, folks, scrolling across the bottom of the screen is our most popular ever webinar on estate planning, asset protection, and tax planning to reduce your tax bill. And hey, in election time, there's a lot of talk about taxes. So you can check out that absolutely free, fantastic educational webinar at jasonhartman.com/protect. That's at the bottom of your screen, scrolling across, jasonhartman.com/protect. That is a brand new webinar. It's about 2 weeks old on that topic. And people have really just loved that webinar. So go check it out, jasonhartman.com/protect.
Thank you so much for listening. Please be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss any episodes. Be sure to check out the show's specific website and our general website, hartmanmedia.com, for appropriate disclaimers and terms of service. Remember that guest opinions are their own, and if you require specific legal or tax advice or advice in any other specialized area, please consult an appropriate professional. And we also very much appreciate you reviewing the show. Please go to iTunes or Stitcher Radio or whatever platform you're using and write a review for the show. We would very much appreciate that. And be sure to make it official and subscribe so you do not miss any episodes. We look forward to seeing you on the next episode.